Okay, so let's talk about spam complaints and their how they fit into how anti-spam technology works. Spam complaints are normally made. Most of them are made by when people um, who receive an email simply click the mark as spam button um, on in their email software, whether it be web-based or client-based on their installed on their PC. Spam complaints are one of the best ways an email or internet service provider can tell who is emailing commercial solicitations, regardless of whether they're solicited or unsolicited. Um, in general, the spam complaint rate is higher for a list if it's an unsolicited list, but that problem can be solved simply by removing the people that make spam complaints from your list over time, which is what you do with a solicited or opt-in list anyway. Um, the one of the reasons, again, it's the same idea with the email reputation. One of the reasons that this is becoming more and more of an important factor over time is that it's one of these ways that people can clearly indicate what they think of your email, whether it's something that they want or something that they don't. The idea is that anti-spam technology makes mistakes. Computers make mistakes, machines make mistakes, but people don't. Rarely do, unless it's a case of malice, someone deliberately trying to blacken the reputation of someone that sent them an email. Something to keep in mind too is that even people that have opted into your mailing list will sometimes make spam complaints simply because it's the quickest way to indicate that they don't want to receive your mails anymore. And in some cases, people will do it when they forget, if you haven't mailed them for a long time, they forget you're on their mailing list, that sort of thing. Or if they've never really double opted in, for instance, if they drop their business card off at your trade booth at a trade show that both of you attended, and they don't remember who you are, and so they click mark as spam button. And this even happens with double opt-in lists where people just click the mark as spam button because it's a simple way to go, or they don't know any other way of stopping these emails from coming. And this happens with double opt-in lists when the messaging becomes too repetitive or too frequent, or the message is just boring, that sort of thing. So anyways, with at least with email service providers, we're talking about major ones out there, and as an industry standard, they all say that you can get no more than 1 to 3 spam complaints per 1,000 emails sent. So in other words, if you send 1,000 emails to 1,000 people, no more than 1 to 3 of them can click the mark as spam button. If they do, then the email provider will know there's a problem somewhere, and they'll start to look at your account more carefully. And if you can't get your spam complaint rate within that level quickly, they will usually terminate your account. Reason being is that spam complaints directly impact their ability to send campaigns for not just you, but also for their other clients. So it's one sort of bad apple can ruin the bunch kind of idea, because typically one IP that's is shared amongst many different senders with email providers, and so if one person is spamming and getting a bunch of spam complaints, it ruins the IP and ruins it for anyone else that's sending emails through that IP, even if they have a purely double opt-in list. So now so email service providers, yes, they will allow you to get spam complaints, but they will often tell you, most of them, the better ones, will tell you who they are so that you can purge them from your list. And then that, over time, it should be that you're getting less and less spam complaints until hopefully you're getting zero, and then everyone is particularly happy then. Um, Now, with internet service providers, they don't understand how email works. As you can see with all these webinars that we're doing here on anti-spam technology, that there is a lot to it. There's quite a few more to come after this particular part of us talking about this. Um, so internet service providers, they don't really understand, nor data center hosts. They don't understand how this all works, and what a spam complaint means, and what its significance is to their systems and their business. So typically they're taking a very black and white stance on this, that if you get a spam complaint, they have zero tolerance for it. It's not uncommon for them anyways to be severely limiting the number of emails that you can send through them. But if they definitely don't want any spam complaints, because like the email service providers, they too have thousands and thousands of customers, and they don't want one person jeopardizing all the other people's ability to send email. So they just see internet service providers to see a spammer as the worst thing in the world, and so they have typically zero tolerance. They may give you a warning, but if you persist sending emails through them, typically you'll lose your internet access, which you obviously don't want, either for your business or personally. And that actually can impact other things, such as if you have a website hosted with them, things like that. The way spam complaints are communicated is, as mentioned, primarily through feedback loops to the email provider, where someone clicks the mark as spam button, and then that information gets relayed to whatever provider. Again, you have to be signed up, either your email provider or you have to be signed up with the feedback loop in order to be receiving these emails about who is making spam complaints about you. Otherwise, you won't know who they are. The other way that people can make spam complaints is by looking up your internet provider. So if they look in, if they look up the email and they find out who your internet provider is, they can do that by now it's a cumbersome process, so very few people will do it. But the way that they can do it is they will they'll look at your domain, they'll do a who is search on it, and they may contact your internet registrar. So so if you're with GoDaddy.com or whoever, they can find that out. If you have private if you have private registration on your domain, then that may not be there, or that information may not be as prevalent. So what can happen there is that the domain registrar, depending on how they view email, may or may not come after you and ask for proof that the person that made the spam complaint was double opted in. I know GoDaddy has done that, where they have the same sort of zero tolerance, shoot first and ask questions later, like internet service providers do, where if someone comes to them and sends an email to abuse@godaddy.com and includes your email, that they'll come after you like you're like you're the scum of the earth kind of thing, until you can prove otherwise. The other way is that someone can look up in your mail header. They can, if the mail header is the all that technical gobbledygook that you might have seen, that's included along with your email. That's all the technical information that is recorded and helps email get delivered. In there, if they find out if they know enough about techie stuff, they can look through there and they can find the IP address of the mail server that sent the email, and then they can go and look up that IP address, find out who the host or the internet provider is, or the host rather, of who is providing that IP range of where that IP address came from, and then they can go to them and send an email to abuse@the internetprovider.com, and then that can get into problems. This sort of thing rarely happens, because it's actually quite difficult to know average person just doesn't know how to do this sort of thing, especially reporting you to your internet host. So it just doesn't happen. So the vast majority of complaints are just done by clicking the mark as spam button. And again, when someone reports an email to a blacklist, a lot of these blacklists don't accept individual user reports on on spam complaints for a given email, because it obviously can be the kind of thing that can be forged. Like, for instance, I could go to if I really wanted to frame someone, I could set up 100 email accounts with Hotmail, and then with each of them opt in to receive mailings from a given provider, and then when I receive emails from that provider, then I could, with each of those 100 accounts, I could make a separate complaint to, say, Spamhaus, and then get them blacklisted. But obviously that wouldn't be true. It would be a false situation, misrepresented. So blacklists don't rely on spam complaints normally. Don't take that into account. They may take into account as a factor, but it'll never be a decisive thing that they take into account for deciding who to add to their blacklist and who not to.